Hi, so it's me again. I'm now going to attempt to show you what I'm going to do with my boundary wire. So the mower's been in a few weeks now. It's doing a fantastic job of keeping the grass down. In fact, it's doing too good a job really, because it's showing up on my variations in the ground, and I'm going to need to fill a few holes in. But just so you can see, I'm going to now move the boundary wire out a bit and move a loop, because it's not really going up as far. I've cleared some room at the side and it's not going as far to the side as I need it to. So let me show you what I mean first of all. Okay, so along the edge of the garden here I've cleared a lot of ivy that was growing on the ground, and you can see the boundary wire is where the ivy came to, and I need to move it back towards the hedge. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. Also, around this side you can see there's a patch in the ground here which is deliberate. There's a loop boundary wire going around this. I'm now going to move this because I don't want it anymore. I want the mower to mow this area. So I'm now down the end of the garden, which is the roughest area. What I want to do here is level the ground out more. I've cleared a load of stuff that was growing all over the ground, which has revealed where the boundary wire is, and it's too far into the garden, so I need to move it out. But what I need to do is level the ground up. So temporarily I'm going to move the boundary wire in so I can pile earth up behind it, effectively grow some grass and then move it back again. And I'll show you what I mean. Can you see between that tree on the right and the trampoline on the left, there's a great big dip in the ground there that I want to fill in, and the mower at the moment is literally just keeping weeds down. I'll take you over and show you what I mean. So the wire is very exposed here. The mower, you know, you can't really expect it to do much with this. It's very rough. And what I need to do is I'm going to move that in to roughly here, and then I'm going to fill behind it. And then once that ground has leveled up and I've grown some grass, I will then move the boundary wire back and actually take it further back towards the hedge over there. So that's what I want to do today. One other thing I'm going to point out, here you can see the mower catches. The mower is set to its lowest, or almost its lowest cutting setting at the moment. And as you can see, it's catching the ground on this rough area, so it's very bumpy here, and you can see the ground gets caught. But especially over here by this tree, there's a root in the ground, and the mower keeps catching the root. So I'm intending to build the ground up here again, move the boundary wire in, and I'll create a bit of a bank of earth there to hide away compost at the back. So I just thought I'd take you through that, because now the mower's been in, the mower got installed with the garden in its existing state, but now that we've had a lot of the summer and I've worked out what I want to do with the garden, I now know where I need to move the boundary wire, and hopefully it will be a relatively easy job. So the next thing I'm going to do is put this camera on a tripod and try and show you how easy it is to find the existing boundary wire, see how far it's sort of in the ground, and then obviously move it. It's just pegged in, it wasn't put in with a wire machine, so it's just pegged to the ground, so I'm hoping it shouldn't be too tricky. Right, the boundary wire comes along the boundary, obviously, and somewhere around here, I can't see it at all, but it is there, because as we come over to my long patch, my loop in the ground, you can see here, this is the point here where this peg is, that I think the two ends link up. Yes, goes along here. Aha. Here we are. So you can see it's pretty well buried into the ground. So I don't know if you caught much of that, but there we are. There's the boundary wire in its loop, and I've taken out the pegs. Amazingly well buried there. There's the pegs. Okay, so let me show you where I'm up to. Been quite busy. Now, I retained this measuring stick that Husqvarna left me when they installed originally, and I'm now going to relay the cable using this to make sure that I've got enough overrun of the mower to cut the lawn properly. Let me show you what I've done so far. I've released all along this edge of the garden the pegs that are holding, as you can see, they've just randomly laid there, the pegs that were holding down the boundary wire. And moving on a bit further down, it then stepped out at this point and avoided all of the ivy that was here that I've now cleared. So I'm going to relay this back further away and then seed up the ground. But also here I've laid a string down, so you can see that I'm going to fill that area. I'm going to sort of backfill that area. Hold on, there's a helicopter going over, but yeah, I'm going to backfill that area and make a bank and cover up this root that keeps getting caught by the mower's blades. Then I'm going to move on to the other side of the garden. Just here, the old loop is now gone, and I've relayed all along the side here the new boundary wire. So I didn't put a second loop in, I left that out, and I expect the mower will just bang into the new tree. So at this point you can see the wire has been moved back nicely under the hedge, and then I've stepped it out here where the string is. So I've put the string there to indicate where my raised bank will be, and the wire runs 30 centimetres on the inside of that, and it loops around into this little section here along by the shed. Now what I've had to do is put in a new central point for the guide wire to go back. I'm hoping it works. Everything's turned off at the mains, and I haven't turned it on yet to check the connections are okay. The boundary wire then carries on around here. I've then had to splice the boundary wire together at this point with one of those little 3M connectors, and then it goes around this section which I want to build up the ground. So I've temporarily made a big kind of loop around this section so I can fill in this area, raise the ground, and then I'll move the loop back again. And the other thing I've had to do is move the central guide wire, as I showed you just a second ago, from here. This now travels more centrally. You can see the old gully where the old wire was, up towards the end of the garden. So I'm now going to turn on the mains, see if I get a blue light. Let's go and have a look. There we go. Power on. Let's go and have a look at the light. So on reflection, that was a pretty painless task. It took longer than I thought because I ended up with quite a lot of extra wire from reducing, the wire loop. I thought I would, by extending the boundary, I would actually use up that loop of wire, but I didn't. So it's all looking pretty. It was pretty easy to do. You know, you don't really need an installer to help you do this. You just need to plan it out, and all you need is a mallet, some wire cutters, and a pair of pliers. I've just gone around the edge and banged everything in just a second time, just to make sure that it's all down tightly. And I'm going to raise the cutting height on the mower because it's got new areas to go over now. So and also where I've pulled up wire and it's pulled up grass, there's sort of clumps of grass. So I'm going to raise the cutting height, and hopefully it'll all be good.